Well, speaking of blowing up, before we get to the Boeing satellite blowing up story, there's breaking news about Boeing's latest offer to the striking Machinist Union. And not to toot my own horn. That's my own horn. But in an overwhelming rejection by 64% no vote, the Machinist Union rejected Boeing's latest greatest offer. That means 33,000 union members will not be going back to work in any of Boeing's factories anytime soon. When asked why the union voted down Boeing's latest offer, Union President John Holden said today's vote is a culmination filled with many emotions. We have made tremendous gains in this agreement in many of the areas our members are concerned. However, we have not achieved enough to meet our members' demands today, so we remain on strike. Holden said there were many issues the company wouldn't move on, and that the union's negotiating committee will focus on those, including trying to achieve a 40% wage increase as well as an additional vacation and sick time leave package. But the restoration of a pension plan is right at the heart for many, Holden said, and Boeing is not moving on that. That's a non-starter for Boeing. And personally, if you ask me, if Boeing doesn't budge on that topic, the union will just dig its heels in deeper. But Holden said Wednesday evening after the strike vote that he would again reach out to the White House for help negotiating a deal. Why? I don't know. It's not clear when both parties would return to the bargaining table, but good luck to Boeing and the Machinist Union. So stay tuned for updates on that subject, but it looks like both sides are dug in for the long haul. Well, since everything else with Boeing's logo on it has blown up so far, why not a satellite? Remember, folks, I don't make the news, I just report it. But a satellite manufactured by Boeing, I believe it's one of their Frankenlight models, has blown up after experiencing what they call an anomaly. That according to Intelsat, the company's operator. In a statement Monday, 21 October, Intelsat said that the anomaly resulted in the total loss of the Intelsat 33E satellite. You know, I've been married a time or two, and now that I think about it, they didn't end in divorces. They ended in anomalies. But I digress. The satellite was launched in 2016 to provide internet services to customers across Europe, Africa, and parts of the Asia-Pacific region. Intelsat said it is working to return service to those customers. As a matter of fact, Elon Musk was on the other line at the time, I'm sure. But Intelsat said that we're coordinating with the satellite manufacturer, Boeing, and government agencies to analyze data and observations. Also, a failure review board has been convened to complete a comprehensive analysis of the cause of the anomaly. The U.S. Space Force, which confirmed the breakup, said it's tracking 20 associated pieces. The Air Force branch said it's conducting a routine assessment but has found no immediate threats. Meanwhile, Roscosmos, Russia's space agency, on Tuesday said that it had found more than 80 fragments from the destroyed satellite. However, there are roughly 3,000 dead satellites littered across space, along with 34,000 pieces of large space junk and millions of smaller pieces. That debris has the potential to damage critical components on working satellites, such as solar panels, reducing their lifespan. Not to mention killing astronauts on the ISS, which Boeing has already tried to do once this year, allegedly. However, in a statement posted to social media, the space agency said analysis of the trajectories of the fragment show that the destruction of the satellite was instantaneous and high energy. So this can indeed be a potential threat to all operating spacecraft, including the Roscosmos group in the geostationary orbit in outer space. Boeing's satellite, the 33E, was designed to last for more than 15 years but served for less than a decade. A propulsion issue was discovered after the satellite was launched and took some years off its orbit lifespan. It was also the second satellite launched as part of Intelsat's Epic NG platform. The previous satellite, the 29E, was lost in 2019 after just 3 years in orbit, with the failure attributed to either a meteoroid impact or a wiring flaw. Well, frankly, that kind of talk is just insulting to meteoroids throughout the universe. The incident, of course, comes as Boeing is dealing with a series of other problems across its operations, including its space business. As I told you here on the channel recently, NASA said its 2025 Commercial Crew Program missions will exclusively use SpaceX-only aircraft after Boeing's Starliner suffered a series of high-profile issues that caused delays and eventually rendered its thrusters inoperable. Well, in other space news, NASA researchers announced that they have developed what they are calling a quiet space fan to reduce the noise inside crewed spacecraft. and sharing the results with the industry for potential use on future commercial space stations. I never knew fan noise was a problem in space, did you? Let me know down below. Personally, I can't sleep without the fan running. But apparently, controlling noise inside spacecraft helps humans talk to each other, hear alarms clearer, and get restful sleep, and it also apparently minimizes the risk of hearing loss. NASA says it's best to control the noise at the source, and in a spacecraft, the noise often comes from the cabin ventilation and equipment cooling fans. You know, all this talk of space fans makes me think, I wonder what outer space smells like. Oh wait, hang on. I'm being told by my show announcer and producer Leroy Jenkins that we have former astronaut Chris Hatfield on the Machinist Aviation Breaking News Line. Okay, Chris, thank you for joining us on such short notice. Chris, we're all just wondering here, what does space smell like?
Yeah, in truth, it smells a little bit like a burnt steak.
Well, you heard it here, folks. Breaking news. Space smells like burnt steak. However, NASA says since the earliest days of spaceflight, there's been a noise from the environmental control and life support ventilation systems on spacecraft. Have no fear, because NASA has been working to design highly efficient and quiet fans by building on technology initially developed at the agency's Glenn Research Center in Cleveland, Ohio, and are now sharing it with companies that are developing new spacecraft and space stations. Angela Hart, manager of NASA's Commercial Low Earth Orbit Development Program at the agency's Johnson Space Center in Houston, said, as NASA continues to support the design and development of multiple commercial space stations, we have focused our efforts to share technological expertise, technologies, and data with the industry. Adding the quiet space fan research is one more example of how we are actively working with private companies to foster the development of future destinations. The initial fan prototype was designed at Glenn in 2009 using tools developed for aircraft turbofan engines. The fan design size, flow rate, how much air the fan moves, and pressure rises the increase in pressure across the fan were designed similarly to the original Orion cabin fan. Also, the new space fan is approximately 10 decibels quieter than a similar sized commercial off-the-shelf fan. To take the research a step further, however, a larger fan was recently designed with almost twice the flow and pressure rise capability compared to the initial prototype. For example, the original fan could provide enough airflow for a large car or van, and the larger fan can provide enough airflow for an entire house. Oh, that's pretty cool. I bet it would be even cooler with an even bigger fan, like those giant fans they have at Costco and Home Depot. However, NASA's quiet fan design aims to maintain high-performance standards while significantly reducing everyday noise levels and can potentially be used on the International Space Station and future commercial destinations. NASA says that this work will lead to significant benefits, including volume and mass savings from noise controls that are no longer as large or needed at all, reduced system pressure loss from mufflers and silencers that don't need to be as restrictive, reduced power draw because of the reduced system pressure loss, and the highly efficient fan design and satisfying spaceflight vehicle acoustic requirements to provide a safe and habitable acoustic environment for astronauts. Developing quieter fans is one of many efforts NASA is making to improve human spaceflight and make space exploration more innovative and comfortable for future missions to low Earth orbit. Also, helping private companies provide reliable and safe service at a lower cost will allow the agency to focus on Artemis missions to the moon, while continuing to use low Earth orbit as a training and proving ground for deep space missions. So I bet you didn't see that coming. 2 stories about things that blow, a space fan and blowing. Well, in Boeing's case, blowing up, that is. But please remember, I don't make the news, I just report it. Well, that's all for now. Of course, I want to hear what you think, so let me know. But I won't know until you let me know down below. And as always, until next time, this is Maximus.